We all know St. Louis City are off to a historic start in Major League Soccer, becoming the first expansion team to win their first 4 league matches. But many still have their doubts, such as easy opponents or gifted goals. So let's talk about it. Are St. Louis City SC actually good? When I talked to head coach Bradley Carnell this preseason, I asked him what his expectations were as an expansion side. To be competitive from day one, he told me. Well, he certainly achieved that, but the question, of course, is, will it last? And before looking at the on-field product, I think the best place to start is the club structure, what they built before a single ball was even kicked. They are a club modeled after Hoffenheim, and they also have influences including Manchester City, Hamburg, and Leipzig. This is a club with German philosophies at its core, which is something that you will see throughout this video. That starts with their sporting director, Lutz Pfannenstiel, who before joining St. Louis City was the head of scouting and international relationships at Hoffenheim, before being the sporting director at Dusseldorf for a couple years, and then heading, of course, to MLS. Pfannenstiel then hired Bradley Carnell as the club's first manager, who besides playing in Germany during his career, was the New York Red Bulls interim coach, meaning that he not only knows the league, but has German gegenpressing philosophies. And that fit St. Louis City perfectly. This was also something I asked Bradley Carnell about in preseason because even then I could tell a very clear play style. So I asked him how important it was to see that early on with his team. He wasn't overly excited or praising his players, but he said that that is key to being able to combat whatever opponents throw at them this season in MLS. Overall, the club structure is built on the Lutz Pfannenstiel 3-pillar plan. That first pillar is community, and this is built on what US soccer fans have been asking for a long time, getting away from the pay-to-play system and giving everyone an opportunity to play the beautiful game regardless of financial restrictions. The second piece is the academy at St. Louis, which leads me to the open door policy that Lutz Pfannenstiel has, which is built on the idea of everything being visible. Part of that is having the training fields directly across the street from City Park, which means that not only the first team, but the academy trains in the shadow of their $458 million stadium, and they can see that looking up to it and dreaming to play in that stadium one day. We can already see the fruits of this labor coming through as in their inaugural season, St. Louis City Academy won the MLS Next Pro Western Conference with one of their star players being 17-year-old Miguel Perez, who has already signed a professional contract, made his MLS debut, and been called up to the US U19 national team. That brings me to the third pillar, of course, the one that everybody sees, the professional team. And finally, I think we can talk about the players that they have brought in to St. Louis City and what we will see with that on-field product. Designated players are, of course, the most important piece of every MLS team, and St. Louis City have 2. The first of which is João Klaus, their 26-year-old Brazilian striker, and although he's Brazilian, he fits that German style perfectly. He is one of the 8 players on the team, most in MLS, to have 5 tackles already this season, which proves that he fits exactly into that German gegenpressing style. He is a pressing striker. Not only that, he is, of course, a great finisher as well. He would be level for the Golden Boot if not for a guy named Thiago Almada. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you're looking for MLS content here on YouTube, this is the channel for you, as I'm the only MLS journalist with their own YouTube channel. So please hit that subscribe button and help me out. Thank you so much, and back to the video. Their other designated player is also 26 years old, German midfielder Edward Löwen, who Lutz Pfannenstiel has no joke been after since he was 16 years old, and you can see why. Not only is he, of course, one of those 8 players with 5+ tackles, but he has the most progressive passes for the team, the most attacking sequence involvements, and he has simply been all over the pitch for St. Louis. I genuinely believe Edward Lovren is the best two-way midfielder in the entire league. And we still haven't talked about their captain and goalkeeper, Roman Bürki. And for those of you who watch European football, I don't need to tell you how good this guy is. But for those of you who only watch MLS, he wasn't a mediocre European player who came over to MLS like Matthias Klick, or a successful European player coming at the end of their career like Christian Benteke. Not sure why I'm just using DC United examples, but anyway, he was a very good European player and is coming still in the prime of his career at 32 years old, which may be a little bit old for an outfield player, but is very much in the prime of their career for a goalkeeper. Borussia Dortmund are the second biggest club in all of Germany, and he was their starter for 7 years up until 2 years ago, recording 83 clean sheets in 233 appearances for the club, including, of course, a couple trips to the Champions League quarterfinals and many more massive competitions that he played in. Point is, this guy is legit, and he is not only the leader of that defense, but the leader in that locker room, which brings me to the team mentality, where Lutz Van der Steel, of course, cited Hoffenheim as the influence behind the play style, but he also cited Hoffenheim as the basis behind the team mentality. That second part, I think, goes a little bit under the radar in MLS, which is a long, grueling season with tons of travel. Due to the parity of MLS, it is inevitable to have winning streaks, losing streaks, and you have to stay even keel through it all. St. Louis City have shown a strong, winning, calm mentality through their first 3 matches, winning all of them in comeback fashion, something that hasn't been done in 3 consecutive matches in MLS in nearly a decade, and of course has never been done in the first 3 matches of a season, much less by an expansion side. Now, I know when I said winning streaks, a lot of you thought to yourself, exactly, Justin, every team is going to have ups and downs, but they're only winning right now because they have an easy schedule. And I meant what I said. Every team is going to have good periods. So I understand all of you not convinced simply based on the results. And while I do think there is something to be said about that purple patch occurring at the beginning of their inaugural season, as you can tell, that has not been the focus of this video. With that being said, I want to dispel this myth that St. Louis City have had an easy schedule through their first 4 matches. They opened their season in Austin against the second best team in the West last year, and I know what you're going to say, free goal. But Austin were never good defensively. That's not how they were successful last year. They simply outscored teams, and St. Louis went into Austin at Q2 and beat them at their own game. Charlotte, the second game of the season, all right, that is an easy game. Third was Portland, and they are off to a poor start this season, not because they're a bad team. They're actually going to be a very good team, but they're off to a bad start because of their very difficult start to the season, playing 3 of the better teams in the entire league and winning the other one. Lastly, San Jose, who were in fact the worst team in the West last season, but they are a completely different team this year, and the only evidence I need of that is if they had beaten St. Louis, they would be the ones at the top of the Western Conference, not St. Louis. And while this incredible start is not the focus, it also shouldn't be ignored, as nearly 95% of the teams who have started 4-0 in MLS history have made the playoffs, and that was when there were fewer playoff spots available as well. There are more now, so it's easier to get in. So we're talking about an expansion team that is basically already guaranteed a playoff spot, something only 7 of 19 expansion teams in MLS history have been able to do, which means the real question we're asking is, will St. Louis City be able to get a home playoff berth or even compete with teams like Seattle or LAFC? And on a single day, they sure can. Over the entire course of the season, I do still expect those teams to be better, but that is not a reasonable expectation to have of St. Louis City. Those are 2 of the 2 best run organizations in the entire league, and it still took them about 5+ years to become the MLS super teams that we know them as today. Regardless, the fact that we're even having this conversation answers the original question we had in this video. Are St. Louis City actually good? Well, if we're talking about potential home playoff berths or even competing with Seattle and LAFC, that answers your question. St. Louis City are absolutely very good. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out so I can continue making videos like this for you all. I will see you next time.